Hello, welcome back to another fun week of summer circuits. I am so excited to be making paper circuits with you guys, and I hope you guys had a fabulous weekend. It felt like such a long weekend for me. I got to go hiking with my kids in this gorgeous forest, and I also got to go leg 2 of my circumnavigation around the island with my friend. We went kayaking for a few hours. That was fun too.
What's a circumnavigation?
We're going around our island on a kayak. I don't actually know. I think like maybe 30 miles. We're doing it in like 6 legs though, so it's nothing too crazy.
So you did 6 miles?
We did like 5 miles. It was fun. We got to see iridescent squid eggs, and we got to see crabs. We had a seal pop their head up right by our boats. We got to see lots of jumping fish. It was amazing. I had a great weekend of nature. I hope you guys had a good weekend too. We would love to hear, in Zoom, we would love to hear about what you did over the weekend, and we can find out. And I want to tell you guys what we have in store for you this week. We are doing Jewelry Week, which apparently I don't know how to spell, but maybe I can say it better. Because we had a lot of our fun girls say we wanted to make jewelry, and I know that maybe some of the boys out there might not want to make jewelry. Maybe you do, which is awesome, because I think jewelry looks good on everybody. Maybe you want some more like power superhero stuff. So there's actually 2 templates for everything, or like 2 options for everything on what you can make. So like today, we're gonna make bracelets if you cut on the skinny line, but if you wanted to have like a power cuff that was nice and thick, you could do that too, and you could have more decoration space. Or like we're gonna make like a light up little tiara type of a thing, but maybe tiaras aren't your deal, and maybe you wanna make some sort of cool like bandana piece for your head that's also powerful. Or a crown, like you could use any of these any which way. So we have a lot of options for you guys this week. So don't be turned off if it's just jewelry and you're a girl that doesn't like jewelry or you're a boy that doesn't like jewelry, because we also have lots of cool other options that you can make that are like power magic based, which will be really fun.
Let's be honest, boys wear jewelry all the time.
I think guys look really good in jewelry. I won't lie. I mean, some of these don't really, like, you're right, the LED rings, there's no other option because rings look really good on guys. I really like rings. And our armlets, our necklaces. But I do appreciate that maybe tiaras are not in that realm for some people. Some people it might be their realm, and that might be what makes, floats their boat. And that's good. If it floats your boat, do it. If it doesn't float your boat and this floats your boat, do the other option. That's why we have multiple options this week. Because I recognize it might really float some people's boats and it might not for others, so. We're going to do that. I'm super excited about it. You need the normal stuff for this week, so I'm going to go over it and we'll get to our shout outs. And a quick note, we had so much fun in Zoom on Friday that we are doing a talent show this Friday in Zoom. We got to see Brody play his trumpet, Naomi played some piano. I hear she does some cool martial arts, which she did not send me a video of this weekend. Naomi. And we had some dancing. It's going to be awesome. We are going to do a talent show. Isabella is already in. She's going to play the recorder for us on Friday. So you should make sure that you schedule in Friday for some little fun talent show. And if you haven't been to Zoom, you should come to Zoom because we are on YouTube. We're completely free if you want to join us on YouTube. But if you want to help support us, you can go to patreon.com/rosieresearch, and support starts at $1 a week. So nothing too terrible. And it gets you all of the templates, so you don't have to sort of try to figure out how to do this at the same time as we're doing it when you don't have the printout. But it also gets you into our Zoom room. So if you don't want your kids on YouTube all alone, because who knows where that can lead to, you can put them in our Zoom room, and they can still have live shout-outs and interactions and comments and questions, but they're in a safer space. All right, let's find out what we need for this week. It is the same thing we need all week, every summer.
Also,
we need some LEDs. Today I have some rainbow ones. I'm very excited. We need some batteries to power our LEDs. I use the 2032 batteries. They're coin cell batteries. You can find them at the grocery store. I buy them in bulk online, like by the 100, because once you get into these projects, you do a lot, so you can do that. The cheaper ones, it doesn't really matter. It's just a battery. So whether it's cheap or not, it's like the difference of like, does your project last 3 days constantly on or 5 days constantly on? And these are paper circuit projects. They might not, I mean, they'll last that long, especially if you print on cardstock paper, but you might sort of lose interest by then. You need some scissors to cut things out with. I have some things to poke holes with, so I sort of, if you have like a metal push pin, that's perfect to get your holes started, and then you can just use like a pencil to make those holes a little bit bigger. And then the important things are we need some copper tape or not electrical tape, or aluminum foil tape. So some sort of conductive tape. Hassan joined us last week and he asked us a great question about what do I do if I don't have copper tape or aluminum foil tape. And what you need is something that's conductive. So I suggested, and we made one of our circuits partially, using aluminum foil. You could cut thin strips of aluminum foil and you could tape them sort of along the way that we lay down our copper tape. So that will also work for you. I like to keep aluminum foil, especially for some of these weeks where things are going to be bending and curving, because it helps us make better connections with our LED legs. So if you have some aluminum foil in your house, you might want to bring that out. That'd be a good thing to bring out. And then we need some non-conductive tape. So we've got masking tape, scotch tape, those are great. You can use electrical tape, washi tape, duct tape, lots of other types of tapes. Any sort of plasticky tape is going to work great for our non-conductive tape, and that helps us separate the highways that our little electrons get to go drive on, and it makes sure that they go in the right places so that we light up our LEDs. All right, let's see who we have with us today, and then we'll get started on making our magical bracelets and cuffs. I'm pretty excited.
It appears
that
there are
a
few people who are excited about making magic bracelets.
I'm excited.
We have first up our erstwhile champion from last week,
Miss Naomi.
Naomi,
hello! It's good to see you again today. Happy Monday.
And then we've got Kaya
Yay! Hi, Kaya!
in the front door.
I'm so glad you're here with us today. I bet she's like munching on some Fruit Loops too.
Maybe.
What's better than like breakfast and paper circuits? Nothing.
Chocolate croissants.
Okay, chocolate croissants. That's true.
We got Emma, Teacher Emma in the
Hello,
house.
Teacher Emma! Oh my gosh, Isabel's gonna be super upset that she's in the back reading right now because
Yeah.
she will want to have said hello.
She's never really upset that she's reading,
That's true.
but she might be upset.
She might be upset that she's missing out on Miss Emma.
Maybe Zoom.
Emma's rad.
Maybe
soon. I don't know. We'll
She's
see.
making her husband a light-up bracelet.
Yes. Make it fancy.
Ooh. We got Tamsin and Laurel back.
Yay! Oh, Tamsin and Laurel, it's so good to see you guys. I haven't seen you in a few weeks. Yay! I hope your summer is going really well. And this is like the week for you guys. I mean, really.
Yeah. This
Like
is
when we started to do jewelry, I think it was Kaya and Naomi.
And Kailani.
And maybe Kailani. and maybe Frankie and Iris.
John's.
And Ellie.
And Ellie.
And I was like, Tamsin and Laurel are going to want to come to this one. So I'm really glad you're here.
We got to shout out John.
Yeah.
We got Griffin.
Yay! Hello, Griffin! Oh, I'm super excited that you're here with us today. Griffin makes amazing, like, superhero power things.
Yeah, I bet he's going to, like, have...
I'm a little bit nervous about the safety of Bainbridge Island with Griffin in his lab making these, because...
Power cuff.
Who knows what's going to happen?
You know, I feel like decoration is a big part of these.
Yes.
Like, you could definitely enhance the power
True
of
story.
your bracelet.
Griffin does not disappoint. He always has, like, the cool stickers that are, like, biohazard.
So, he says he's bummed he hasn't been here for a while.
Me too.
But he's excited to be back. And he's been learning about particle physics from certain labs.
Oh, that's cool. I dig that. Griffin, have your mom send me an email, because I have some cloud chamber pictures, and you could learn about how these particles are moving and stuff. I have, like, a little thing called the Particle Zoo. And you can make little animals out of cloud chamber things. And I can even show you how to make a cloud chamber. You've probably already looked it up, though. All right, let's keep going.
Anyway.
Hello, Griffin. I'm excited you're here, too.
That is what we have who have said hi to us, but I'm
Awesome.
super stoked
Well,
that
I'm gonna
people
give
got up early.
also a shout out to Rohan and Venetia, because I know they're going to come and do these projects with us, but they are at some morning camps, so I know they'll be here just a little later. So I want to say hello to you, my friends, as well. All right, so we're going to get started, and we are going to start with this guy this week. It is just going to be either a bracelet if you want something skinnier, or a cuff if you want something thicker. So think about like what you want to wear and what bothers you. If it's going to really bother you to have something thick, you might want to go for the thinner one. And I'm going to cut around the thicker one for now. And there's two lines. So there's like sort of a skinny solid line that you would cut around if you want to make the cuff that's thicker. And then there's a dark solid line that you would cut around if you're making the bracelet. All right, so you want to choose which one you're doing. So if I was doing the cuff, I'd be cutting outside on these skinnier lines. And one thing you guys might want to consider today, which I know is crazy talk, is you might want to hit pause on the YouTube video, which I guess we can't quite do in Zoom, just to decorate it, because when it's nice and flat and we don't have any LEDs in the way is sort of the best time to decorate our stuff, because you can really make all the pretty pictures without having like all those bumps, especially like once you do the LEDs, you'll have like sort of LEDs sticking through here. But if you don't want to decorate, you want to go with us and then decorate it later, that's fine too. So we're also going to bend on this gray dotted line that's right here. It doesn't go all the way across, but if you're doing the cuff, you should also go all the way across. So I'm just going to bend that up. And remember, anytime we fold anything in our paper circuits, we are always going to be folding towards the circuit, so to cover up the circuit. So we're going to bend it like that. And then here's going to be a trick, because this is not going to fit on my arm like this, right? That's not going to work. I can't like walk around. I mean, I guess I could, but it's going to be not as awesome. We want to curl it around our wrists, and if you do that after, sometimes what happens is everything sort of bubbles away from itself, and like the legs of the LEDs come up or they don't go down, or something funny happens and it usually breaks your circuit. So what I suggest is to roll it up just like this and just sort of roll it.
You're pre-curling it.
We're pre-curling it so that the paper will be nice and curled for us. And you can extra curl it if you want. Like, I don't think it's gonna, too much curl is not gonna be as much of a problem as not enough curl. So we wanna curl it up so that it sort of has that curl. And you also wanna sort of maybe measure it. Like, for an adult, it is just right. All right.
For an Erica adult.
For an Erica adult, that's true.
Emma, you might want to leave yours as long as possible.
Yeah, that's true. Or if it doesn't fit the way that you want it, or like let's say you guys cut it down something, you could always, as long as you keep the battery part on, you can always attach like a piece of elastic to close the bottom too.
Or tape on extra paper.
Or tape on extra paper. So you're gonna want to just make sure it fits. I have a super cool power cuff. This is making me really happy. It already looks cool. Let's be honest. It doesn't even need lights. It just looks good. But we are gonna put some lights on it because that is the fun part. So now we have this curly guy, and I'm gonna get out Curious George so that we can see what we're doing. So I'm gonna tape it down, and I don't want to tape it sort of necessarily flat down because I do want to make sure I take that curl into consideration. All right, and I am going to, like always, measure out some of this tape, and I'm going to do the yellow one first. So this guy that is for me on the bottom here, I'm actually going to flip this over because mine's upside down. So now if we're on the top, that would be maybe confusing. So we're going to do the yellow one first, and here is some tricks that my paper circuit professionals at this point know, but please don't start your copper tape and then peel it all the way down. Because if this is your first time doing a paper circuit, you might be tempted to do that, and then you have this copper tape that like is twisty, and it's only sticky on one side, and it's really hard to sort of flatten it out, and by the time you do, it doesn't stick very well. So what you do instead to sort of fix that situation is once you get it started, and you just got to get your nail between that white paper and the copper tape, once you get it started so it looks like a little T, then what you're going to do is you're going to stick down this copper tape in the direction you're going. So if I want to go from over here down this way, I want to hold my copper tape so that's facing that direction, so it's sort of coming along with it. And I'm going to peel it off and stick it on as I go. All right, so I'm not peeling a huge chunk off necessarily. I'm just going to peel and stick. All right, it doesn't have to be perfect, but we do want to stay as much on that yellow line as possible. Just like this. And if you start going off, like if I maybe start coming up this way, that's okay. You can just sort of move it back down, and you can get these little small, what do I want to say? Like a small fold in it. And then when we get down here, we have a true turn. It's got to go straight down now. That can feel tricky, especially if this is your first few times doing paper circuits. You don't want to rip it. You might have the tendency to rip it, and that is going to really hurt your circuit because it basically puts a massive cut in your highway. So what I like to do instead is I give it a little space. So I have all this space here, and actually mine's so short I could even take it all the way off. And what you do is you sort of take this end piece and you put it where you want it. So I want it to come down like that, right? And now this is a big loop, and I can just press that down, and then I've made that beautiful turn. And I can now just cut this to wherever I need it to be. just like that. So those turns are really important. You really got to practice them. It can be really frustrating, but it's really important that we don't break them on those turns, all right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of non-conductive tape. So put down your copper tape and pick up your Scotch tape or your masking tape, whatever tape does not conduct electricity, so it doesn't look silvery or metallic. And you're going to take right over this green circle where we're going to place the battery. You might notice that there's now this like little blue outline. It tells us to put some tape there. We don't want to put it over here. This part right here is going to be our switch. That's going to fold over to touch our battery. All right, so we don't want to put tape here because if we put tape on that, when we fold it over, it won't touch our battery. But we do want to put tape here because this is going to touch the top of the battery. And right now this touches the bottom of the battery, and that will give our little electrons a beautiful highway straight from top to bottom, and they're like, let's take the fast route and go that way. And they will, and you won't get anything through your LED. So we want to prevent this from touching the bottom, and we do that with just a piece of tape. So you can put a piece of tape just like this right over that area that would be touching the bottom green circle. All right, and then we just want to make sure we leave this part open. So I still have that part open, I still have this part open, which is really important. Now we're going to take another piece of copper tape and we'll measure it. And we are going to do the same thing. We're going to get it started, just like that, and we're going to stick it down on the orange line. And we are going to, again, peel and stick as we go, just like this. And we want to make sure that this one goes into that green circle. Oops, I'm going a little sideways, and it's okay as long as these two don't touch each other. So this line and that line, they cannot touch. I need to make sure that they don't touch each other. And then I want to make sure I don't go through the circle. So right now I'm going a little too far. I'm going past that green circle. So I'm going to pick it up and rip it so it stops inside that green circle. All right. We are almost ready. So you might be wondering, Dr. Erica, why do we have tape all the way over here if we're just putting the LEDs right here? And I did that so that you guys can choose actually where you put your LEDs. So you could put it on your wrist and even maybe make some marks about like, ooh, this is gonna be maybe the bottom for mine, so I want my LEDs in a certain spot, right? You can make a mark where you want your LEDs. You can add more than 3 LEDs if you want to, but it just gets a little tricky the more we add because you just have more that have to be wired in perfectly. All right, we are gonna poke some holes. I'm just gonna stick with this template. We're gonna poke a hole inside each of these black circles, which we forgot to do in step 1, which is okay. And then I'm gonna make that hole bigger. And I'm gonna do that by taking like basically a pencil and pushing it through. And this will let the LEDs push through to the other side and lay like nicely for us. So I've got these 3 holes where I'm gonna put my 3 LEDs. All right, and now we're gonna put our LEDs in. So our LEDs have a long leg and a short leg. So if we were to look at it, we've got, this is the longer leg. It goes ever so slightly longer than the other one. All right, the long leg for us goes on this top piece. It says over on this side part, it says long leg. So we want to make sure the long leg touches here and the short leg touches the other side. And that's because if you have the short and the long spread across your battery, but you have them on the wrong sides, you'll notice my LED is not lighting up. So that's really a bummer because you want it to work, right? Nobody wants their stuff not to work. If we put the long leg on top and the short leg on the bottom, then our LED will light up. All right, so this is the only way that we can attach our LED to the battery to make it work because LEDs are like one-way streets. So if it's not going the right way, then they won't go down that slide and say yippee. If you're adding multiple LEDs, I do have something really important that you're gonna wanna do. You're gonna wanna take your battery, and let's say you were like, I want a red LED, and I want a blue LED, and I want a yellow LED. And here, we notice that my blue LED is maybe not working. You might say, Dr. Erica, flip it over. And I could do that. I could take my blue LED out. I could flip it over. And it still doesn't work. In fact, if I flip it back over and I take off the red and the yellow, my blue does work. All right, and that's because the yellow and the red are like way more power hungry, and they eat everything that the blue would maybe want to have done to light up. So the blue doesn't get very much electrons going through and down its slide. They're all like, nah, that blue slide's not nearly as fun as red and yellow. But if you take the red and the yellow out, they're like, oh, it's still a slide, we still love it, right? So now you've got to think about which colors do you want. So make sure if you're using 3 LEDs and they're all different colors, make sure you can light up all 3 colors at the same time with your battery. Because if I wired these 3 in, no matter what I did, blue would not light up. All right, so then I'd be probably really frustrated. So that's one thing to think about. If you're using 3 of the same, like I'm going to do rainbows today. I found my rainbow LEDs. I'm excited. There's no better thing than like rainbow sparkle jewelry. So you do want to make sure if you do 3 of the same type, can it light up all 3? Or does it light up just 1 or 2? All right, so this can light up all 3. And by doing this, I now know that my LEDs work and also my battery works. And now I also know I have 2 that are fast and 1 in the middle that's kind of slow, which I kind of like that. That makes me happy. I'm actually going to try to keep it like that. So I'm going to put these down like this so I know which one goes in the middle. All right, so we are going to poke these LEDs through the bottom into that hole that we just did. And then we are going to make sure that when we put the legs down, the short leg goes on the bottom and the long leg goes on the top piece. All right, so you're going to sort of make them do the splits like this. Now this will give you some connection if you just do the splits and tape it across. You'll get better connection if you bend them like sort of like a staple. So if you bend them to the side so they have more of that piece to touch. All right, just like this. And you can actually even see at this point as I'm bending the paper, the legs sort of bend up from it. So that can be a little tricky, and we're going to talk about a way to fix that if we need to. But we're going to tape our LEDs down with a non-conductive tape. So a masking tape, a scotch tape, a duct tape, those types of tapes. And make sure that as you tape it down, you don't tape over, like I'm going to put all my legs going this direction, so I don't want to tape this way, because then this middle LED will have nowhere to really put its legs at. I'm going to tape it down this direction. I'm going to tape it even closer to my LED, like that. Just to make sure I have good options for contact for the next ones. Now, if these don't work, I will show you a way to get your legs working a little bit better as well. So don't worry if it doesn't work the first time out of the gates. We're gonna put the next one in. And again, make sure your short leg is on the bottom. Your long leg is sort of towards that top where it says long leg. You can make it do the splits. And then you can fold it into sort of like a staple. Like that. And that just gives your legs a little bit extra spot to contact. All right, I lost my Curious George piece of tape. Let's tape it back up here. All right, and then we're going to tape that in also with a piece of masking tape. And I'm going to go the same direction. I'm going to sort of go off to my left. I guess you're right. And yes, my friends, I do not know my left and right. And I'm okay with that. Poor Evan, when we drive, always has to triple check the directions, because sometimes I'll be like, go left, and he'll go what I think is right. And then I'll be yelling at him. And he'll actually be going the right direction because he knows his right and left. So our third one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to poke it through. I'm going to make it do the splits like that, straight up and down. And then I'm going to bend it into like a sort of a staple form so it has more spots to contact.
Can you hold there and then show what you did? Kind of like Vanna White it?
Vanna White it. Here it is. La! I made it do the splits, so I can actually show you guys with another one. We made it sort of, we just pulled the legs, so they like literally did what you would think a gymnast does with the splits. And then we bent the legs so that they kind of look like a beautiful little staple and can go along that bottom. So this is the guy.
Go along the wire.
They can go along, the copper wire. Because that gives them a little bit more spots to contact than just the 2 tiny pieces that might go out. And the more spots you have to contact, you only have to contact in one small spot for the electrons to be able to go there. So the more chances you have, the more likely your circuit will work for you. All right, and then we are also going to tape this guy down. And then we'll put our battery in. I'm gonna tape this one down. I really like to press the legs, especially on things that are gonna curl. Things that are gonna curl can often be a little bit tricky because sometimes when you curl it, it stops bending the way you want. So you might even take this and sort of re-curl it as you're pressing on the tape, just like this. Just press on those legs and make sure that you're kind of able to curl, so that when you put it on, you're not taking those legs off. All right, so I'm just pressing and curling a little bit. All right, now we're gonna put our battery in. So over here is where that green circle is. And you're just gonna put your battery straight on top. And we can even test our circuit right now by closing the switch over the battery. And you can see if your LEDs do light up. Yeah, it's a little hard to tape this on today. So when we do our battery, you're gonna use some sort of non-conductive tape, so a scotch tape, a masking tape, duct tape, electrical tape, whatever you want. I use little thin pieces, and you want to make sure that you don't cover over the top. All right, so I go on the side. I go just a little tiny bit on the side, and then I sort of just stuff this tape around it, and it makes like a little pocket. You'll notice I only even really need one piece of tape. All right, that's all I really need. And maybe you want to add a second piece of tape to be extra secure. Maybe you don't mind. You could add it maybe down here. And this is a long piece of tape, so I'm going to cut mine. And you could add it just on the bottom. And again, look, it's just a tiny little bit that it's touching the battery, and then I sort of make this like pocket by just pushing it where I want that tape to go before I really press it down hard. And then I have this beautiful pocket, and I've got these guys. Now you'll notice I've got one that's not as happy anymore. I bet if I press on its legs, it will be happy. So that's one way to make it happy. If that's bothering you, I'm going to show you another way. And that would be to gently take up the tape that is on the legs of the LED that's giving you a problem. If you have LEDs that are working, I always say just go with it, because you don't want to accidentally do something and mess it up. But I'm going to peel back some of this tape like that. I'm going to put another piece of tape so this maybe hangs a little better. So I'm going to peel back my tape, and you'll notice I have the legs that are on the copper tape. They're not hitting it perfectly, and that can be where your aluminum foil comes in. So you could take a little piece of aluminum foil. You really don't need much. So I'm going to take a little piece like this. I'm actually going to cut this down, and I'm going to fold it in half. So I'm going to have like almost what looks like a piece of foil tape. Almost looks like it's foil tape. And I'm going to put it right over this leg, and then I'll be able to tape it down. All right, so I can put it over one leg, and I can also do the same thing with the other leg. So I can fold this in half. You don't need to fold it in half. You might want to cut it skinnier then, because these foils also can't touch each other. But then I can put a piece of tape down like this, and that can help. And if I do something like this, I'm actually going to take more tape, and I'm going to put it on top of my foil again. I'm going to use clear tape for that, just so you guys can still see where my foil is at. But all I've done is I made like sort of a copper foil LED leg sandwich, where the LED leg is the meat.
Oh, it's so cozy.
Yeah, so cozy, and it gives it a little bit better connection for us. And then that can usually really help those ones that maybe aren't lighting up the way we want them to light up properly. You might not need to do that at all. You might need to do that for all three. It sort of just depends on how those LEDs got in the first place. And then you can also double check when it's curled, does it still work? And this one does, which is perfect. So now I can either decorate it, or I can just attach it to my body like this. And when I tape it down, the pressure will help hold that battery on. Or you could also put like a paper clip, or you could put a piece of tape that goes right across here, because you'll notice that's my switch. When I take it off at night and I want to store it because I'm either done crime fighting or I'm done, managing the mythical fairy forest for the day, I don't want to lose all of that magical power. So you can then open this up, and that is your switch. So you can turn it on. You could either tape it down. You could put a clip here. You could put a paper clip there. We've done magnets that will work to keep it on, and then you can tape it around yourself. But the pressure of your wrist might also keep it on. So that sort of depends. And then that is our beautiful, fun power cuff or bracelet. And if you do a power cuff and you're like, oh man, I really wanted the bracelet, you'll notice none of the wiring is outside those dark lines, so you could just cut it skinnier into a bracelet. You could even, as long as you don't cut those lines, right? These copper tape lines are really important. We don't want to cut through them. But you could even, like, I don't know, make some sort of like wavy look to this, right? Maybe you want it to have some spikes that like sort of come up and swoop.
You could totally do like dragon scale spikes.
Yes, you totally could. I mean, these are all options. And I encourage all styles of creativity. There's no right or wrong thing. So you could do something like that if you want it to sort of have swoops. Again, as long as we don't cut these wires. All right, once we cut these wires, we've cut the highway that those electrons are going on, and they will no longer work for us. So you can do the top and the bottom for extras, or you could just cut it straight. Up to you. What I do know is I cannot wait to see what people are making in Zoom. So we are going to head on over into Zoom if we don't have any questions on YouTube. To my YouTube friends, I will say thank you so much for joining me for this. I hope that you guys join us tomorrow as, I forget what we're making tomorrow, but it'll be awesome and fun. I think it might be the headbands, the tiaras and headbands. It's going to be amazing, and I cannot wait to see what you guys make. Please join us. We're live every day at 9 a.m. and you can support us at as little as $1 a week, which is only $4 a month. So like, I don't know, that's like a latte. That's not too bad. And you get all the science programming and all these paper circuit templates all summer long. It's gonna be so fun.
Keeps your brain going.
Yes, and then you can tell me what you want to make. Like, we had some people be like, I want to make paper circuit jewelry. And I was like, yes, I've never thought of that. If people want to make something that's like, I don't know, Super Mario Brothers or Zelda's on our list.
Maybe like hummingbirds
We're
with
there.
glowing eyes.
And Evan wants to do zombie glowing eye hummingbirds.
I think that seems perfect.
Please tell me other ideas. Please. All right. Goodbye to my YouTube friends, and we'll say hello over in Zoom. I can't wait to see what you guys are making and make sure that your projects work. We'll see you soon.